Well, hello and welcome to Momentous Live, episode 143. I'm Tristan Jutra.
I'm Will Silver.
And I'm Gray Williams.
Welcome back, Ray.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And hopefully I sound a little better than last week because when listening to the episode afterward, it sounded like I maybe had the wrong mic selected. That's the second time I've done that.
Didn't you talk about that before we did the show?
Yeah, and I thought I checked it, but no, it sounds like trash. So apologies. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Fire me?
We're not
getting
maybe
paid, some sort of
cut my pay.
Hardware AI assistant where you could give it a command that would then set all of your inputs.
Yeah.
Wait, we're jumping ahead.
You would think. All right. Speaking of jumping around or jumping out of planes, as the case may be.
House of Pain?
That too. You may have heard a fun little story last week how a door plug just popped out of a Boeing 737 MAX 9. And wasn't the door, it was the door plug. And hilarity ensued. Shirt got ripped off a kid. And not one, but two phones apparently got sucked out. And one fellow on X, formerly Twitter, found an iPhone on the side of the road, still in airplane mode with half a battery and open to a baggage claim for Alaska Airlines flight ASA 1282. Apparently, this phone survived a 16,000-foot drop, perfectly intact. And apparently, according to the National Transportation Safety Board in the U.S., it said it was the second phone to be found. But as of the time of publishing, which was the 7th of January, no door had been found quite yet. So this happened just before our last episode. But there's all sorts of, planes have been grounded. Boeing is, doing some internal reviews and whatnot. But I think it landed in some grassy or shrubby area, which probably helped. The case probably helped too. So real quick, let's start with you, Will. Do you have a case on your phone, and do you think it could help it fall 16,000 feet to the earth?
Okay, first of all, my coworker is stuck in all this madness, and he's been trying to get home for a week. He's had 4 flights canceled because they grounded all the Super Maxes. But yeah, I think we've discussed this maybe privately. I just have a very light case on mine. It's not very heavy. It's not one of those otter boxes or whatever they're called. It's just like basically a plastic bumper, just so that the screen doesn't fall first. It's just like, I don't know, a couple centimeters kind of thing.
Is it a rubber baby buggy bumper?
Yeah.
Allusion to the pre-show.
Go on. Yeah. So yeah, it looks a little bit like this case where it's not like, that doesn't look like a heavy case. I mean, I haven't seen the back of it, but it's just kind of got a lip around it. Mm-hmm. And the back is just very thin plastic. It's actually, It's flexible. I don't have my phone right here. I left it across the room.
Well, if it's the same kind of case, I look forward to you testing it out on your next flight.
Nope.
How about you, Gray? Do you go phone commando, or do you buckle up?
No, I do have a silicone OtterBox case on it. I can't be without it because I have thrown that phone across the room twice today, accidentally. I may be the clumsiest iPhone owner on the planet, and that's why AppleCare is always worth it for me. Looking at this, there's a couple of things that occurred to me. One, who doesn't have a lock screen on their phone after a couple of minutes?
Right.
Like, you dropped your phone from 16,000 feet and people cannot get access to your stuff.
Or at least they had a really long timeout time on.
Yeah, maybe it's measured by altitude. 18,000 feet would have been fine. But...
Exactly. I mean, who's really going to look at your phone in midair, right?
I hope they don't have Apple Pay set up.
Right. And the second thing here is that Boeing has now actually sort of become the sound that your stuff makes after it's sucked out of the plane and it hits the ground. I don't mind air travel. I like air travel. I am really not keen on air travel anytime soon. Like between the 737 Max and this one.
Yeah, it was there was the Max 8 had the issue. Well, the little altitude calculation issue a few years ago, and now the Max 9 with apparently the door plug wasn't wasn't properly bolted in. It apparently made it one flight, I think, down from Alaska, I've been told, and then I guess the way up. But it was only a few minutes into the flight, so everyone still had their seatbelts on, thankfully. But it was still ascending. But it was the door plug, just the bolts weren't tight enough, and there you go.
Well, apparently they found other planes with the same problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're checking them all out now, and good times. I, for one, I just have the leather case on the 14 Pro here, similar to the brown leather case I had on my 10. Seems to do the trick. It's got just enough of a lip. Of course, I'm not doing myself any favors lip-wise because I keep a little, I keep one business card and a little bit of emergency cash in the case, so the lip is probably not as protruding as far as it could be. But what are you going to do? But I too, like you, Gray, back in the early days of my iPhone use especially, was just smashing screens left and right. So
yeah. Plus it went for a dunk once or twice.
Oh yeah, exactly. Luckily I haven't done that again. All the rice in the world couldn't save that puppy. All right. So speaking of iPhones, this happened before CES. It was kind of pre-announced, and then was a lot of the buzz of CES. We didn't talk about it last week because Gray wasn't with us, and we wanted to make sure that Gray was part of this discussion, being a former BlackBerry user. So this company was started up by a couple of influencers, one named Crackberry Kevin, who's one of the fellows behind crackberry.com, which is a long-time website devoted to BlackBerries and other mobile tech and the like, and YouTuber Mr. Mobile. So they got their crack team of engineers together and developed a keyboard case for the iPhone 14 Pro, the iPhone 15, and the iPhone 15 Pro, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So already large phones at 6.1 and 6.7 inch screens. Plus you add a big chin to it with all your nice clicky keys, and testing by people who got hands-on with this device at CES. They were able to try a number of the generations of the prototypes, and they were like, oh boy, I don't know. Like, it's hard to get the feel just right. Sometimes they can be too squishy or like too hard. But apparently with the most recent generation, the one that's supposedly going to ship, they've got it just right. And the feedback from people who have been hands-on with the device has been pretty good. So my question to you, Gray, is that, given your BlackBerry past, how tempted are you to give a physical keyboard a spin and cradle your iPhone with some old school keys?
I'm tempted. I really am. It seems like, and I think a lot of people seem to have the same sentiment online. The keyboards on phones are getting dumber. You hit
Thanks,
the right
AI.
key. You hit the right key, and it's just spelling things all over the place.
Yeah, it's stuck and ridiculous.
Yeah, and Tim Apple there and company last year said that they were going to be working on this, that we were going to see better predictive text, that it would learn words that previously hadn't been able to learn, and I have not seen a whole lot of it. I've also seen things like, it will underline a word saying that it's wrong, and you can't tap on the word to get it to bring up the autocorrect again. I was fast with the BlackBerry keyboard. I was fast. And swipe doesn't feel natural to me.
Like the third-party keyboard, for dragging your finger around, yeah.
Even the native Apple keyboard has a swipe feature.
Right.
And so I remember to use it after the 14th time I've misspelled the same word, and I'm like, you just aren't getting me right now. And usually it'll probably it picks up on it at that point. But this is something where, if I can find the couch cushion change for it of the $159 US, so that's roughly what, $4,000 Canadian, I will absolutely splash out for it. I've got two kidneys. I could flog one. Right?
So they've got some dedicated keys on the keyboard for triggering certain actions. I think one is a home key and maybe another emoji key. I don't
seemed to be an emoji key there.
But when you look at some of the shots with the, I mean, Will, you've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max, right? So this wouldn't be compatible, but if you had a Pro Max phone or even a Pro phone, I mean, this is like, we're getting up to like skateboard size territory. Do you have much fondness for clicky keys yourself? Would you be tempted to add, this is called the Clicks keyboard case, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I never had a BlackBerry. My experience with clicking keys was like 3 letters on one numpad, so I
T9.
don't have I don't have a great affinity for clicking things. But yeah, again, I just didn't have a BlackBerry, so I don't have that background. I will say I don't love touching a screen to type. I've found more and more that I'm speaking. I also, I'm kind of outing myself here, but I'm a bit dyslexic. I do have a learning disability, so I find it easier to say things rather than typing. So I find it helps me a lot. I really only discovered it recently. I used to make a ton of spelling mistakes because of my brain, and now I make it because of predictive text. So at least I feel better making mistakes. As I actually I've noticed that my mistakes have gotten worse since I talk to Siri a lot, but I just need to do a better job of proofreading. I will say the other thing, and that this is someone who walks a lot, and say what you will, I know you say just don't type. If it's raining or cold, the keyboard when you're using a screen doesn't work as well, especially when there's little droplets of rain. I'm not going to use my keyboard when it's pouring down, but even a droplet on your screen makes it hard to type, or will press the wrong button or what have you. So yeah, physical keyboard is not a horrible idea.
I was never really a BlackBerry user myself, but I was a Trio user. I had a Handspring Trio 270 and then a Palm Trio 650 after they bought Handspring and brought some of the original Palm founders who had founded Handspring back into the fold. And I enjoyed those devices again. Like Gray was saying, you can really get that speed going. And Will, you make a good point about the moisture on the screen. So I'd be tempted to try this out. I'm a little concerned about the size. I mean, I've got a 14 Pro. At least it's not a Pro Max, but it is really tempting. Now, when I am outdoors, like on a dog walk or whatnot, I do often get by using the AirPods Pro usually and Siri to dictate messages. But sometimes, especially when there's certain words or certain names you're trying to, it just can't quite get it right, or even just like regular things for whatever reason due to background noise. Especially because I'm using the original AirPods Pro. I did get some AirPods Pro 2 for Christmas, which are fantastic, but I'm kind of saving them, you got to wear out the regulars, and it's nice to have two when the batteries wear out on one in the middle of a call or something like that. But I haven't really used my AirPods Pro 2 out in the wild because I understand that they're a little bit better for dictation. So yeah, the $139 US, I think we're looking at for this. And I think a lot of people who are particularly nostalgic for the Trio and BlackBerry era style keyboards are going to be forking over for this. And it's backlit too, which is nice. That's not something that we saw on especially the older devices, but in the later models of BlackBerries and Trios, we did see backlighting. If you want to check, but look at some of these shots where people have them sticking out the back of their pants. They're doing hashtag buttons out. So I guess they're just leaning into it, but it's a little crazy. Phone's already so big. So
cargo pants are back, man.
Exactly. All right, let's move on. Speaking of things in our pants, the Rabbit R1 was the talk of CES. Again, we didn't get into it too much last week, but it is an AI-powered gadget that can use your apps for you. So today we're going to be talking about some quirky CS gadgets, and this is one of the quirkier ones, as opposed to the large language models that we're seeing powering things like Chat GPT and Google Bard and various other devices that are coming out, like the Humane AI Pin. This is powered by a large action model. And the idea here is that it works in conjunction with your other services. It communicates through your phone, or you can have a separate SIM for this, like with the Humane AI Pin. And it's got a certain amount of, it's got its own storage, 4 gigabytes memory, 128 gigs of storage. It's got a decent little processor in it. And the idea is it will help automate all sorts of tasks for you, and just being able to have a conversation with it. Things like ordering food and let's see here, some of the other, you can teach it various tasks, booking rides. You go to their web portal and connect it to your various services like DoorDash and Uber Eats and Uber and the like. So it's sort of like your Siri or your Alexa or your Google Assistant, but smarter, because we're all waiting for the brain transplants to occur with these digital assistants, these so-called digital assistants we have in our phones now. But the idea is that the Rabbit R1 could be much more useful. But it seems like the big issue here, it's yet another device. But if it's a device that can add lots of value to us, into our lives, and we can just talk to and have it do things, complex tasks, chaining things together and be an actual agent, maybe it's worth it. Will, do you have room in your pockets for another gadget in your life that could actually, if it could earn its way into your heart or in your pants?
Sure. I mean, I think always, like, these devices have not proved to be super useful to me, though, is the only problem. It's like I'm still not 100% sold on how useful they are.
Well, what if I told you the hardware itself is designed by teenage engineering?
I know, I saw that. I do like that, and they make good products, but some people are still critical of teenage engineering. So yeah, I mean, they have elegant design. They're usually very cool looking. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to see. I like the idea, but again, I think I've always said these things need to get where they're actually doing things that I find useful. Like, I don't mind turning on lights, so it's not like a big
Mr. Luddite.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Lazy.
I got a lot of lights here in
Why
the
don't
studio.
you get up off your ass and turn on the light?
There's so many lights in here. Siri does it for me. Now, this is $199, and as such, the initial batch has sold out much quicker than they even expected. So these will be shipping in a couple of months, and the second batch will be shipping a couple months after that. Gray, do you think this is more of a novelty item? Is this, we've talked about the Playdate and you own one yourself. Is this not something that could be replaced by a piece of software on your phone?
I don't know. I'd really like to get my hands on one, because looking at it, having some separation between the phone and the thing that's running the AI is not the worst idea, I don't think. The idea of a large action model, of being able to repeat certain tasks, being able to go through certain processes. It's basically a big macro pad, as far as I can tell.
Yep.
A smart macro pad. Tell it what you want it to do, and it's going to go and figure out the macro that it has to run for you. So I like the idea. The price is good. The design is good. So the question is, does it work? There were some things that they showed, like booking an entire vacation with just a quick phrase, and
yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
You're huffing your own vaporware at that point. So I would love for this thing to be as good as they say it is, given the opportunity. And if I did have the couch change, I'd have one on the way. But to Will's point, that's $199 US. Now, they did say, I believe, no subscription fee on this.
Yeah, that's a game. How are these guys going to make money? Are they just like looking to get bought out?
It could be, and out of the two, I could see Alphabet picking it up before Apple, which I hate that. I would like,
or Wildcard, maybe Amazon or Meta.
Yeah. I mean, S word. I won't say her name, or his name or their name, depending on how you gender your iPhone AI assistant, is frustratingly stupid, and continues to be frustratingly stupid.
Yes.
And I've got it working for me in here, but it's still like there are times where I will say the thing in a clear, unrestricted tone, and it doesn't do the thing. A lot of the times it starts playing music on my HomePod. I'm like, what the actual hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I say the words good night, it does not mean that I want to hear the best of Kiss. You're killing me. So looking at the thing, do I want one? Yeah. Am I on the list of the first 10,000? No. Will it be on the list of the next 10,000? Probably not. But you know, if I find a couple of crisp Benjamins around, yeah, I might.
Yeah, we just would hate for this to end up being the thing that ends up in everyone's drawers, desk drawers in a year or two. And it's like, oh, this is a fun little gadget. You play around with it, and it doesn't fulfill the promises that they from their demos, or the functionality gets replicated reasonably soon by Google, Apple, Meta, etc.
On the upside, someone's going to get Doom running on it. So
Yes.
Well, we can
Half-Life.
exactly soon. All right. Other kind of quirky but interesting CES gadgets. There was, and this is a real boon on the accessibility space, making technology usable by people who have some limited mobility, by in their traditional ways that you would engage with a smartphone or a computer, such as your hands on a keyboard or mouse. This something was introduced called MouthPad, which is a touchpad you can use with your tongue. So you can control computers, tablets, and smartphones via Bluetooth. And it's basically like a kind of like a fancy retainer you put in your mouth, and then basically where your the roof of your mouth, you could use your tongue to control a cursor and click or double click and the like. So the idea is they're launching the MouthPad to give everyone access, whoever you are, wherever you go, whatever you do. So it'll work with Windows, Mac OS, Linux, iOS, and Android. And it'll be made from trusted and carefully sourced dental materials. And each is custom made to fit your mouth. Any thoughts on this from either? I just think this is great from accessibility, because you think of people who are they're paralyzed, their limbs, maybe they can't use their hands. Something like this really opens doors, especially if they're if they're not particularly verbal either, because some people can use voice commands. This just opens up the computing capabilities to other people who may still have all their marbles, so to speak, but don't have easy ways to manipulate technology.
this looks like something that, one, escaped from the Mission Impossible labs, and two, looks like a great way to cheat at the casino.
Your card counting,
right?
Tap tap tap. Oh, balloons. Is that every time you say cheat at the casino, balloons pop up on your screen?
This, I think. Yep. Victory symbol. For those of you who are listening to the audio version, a victory symbol throws up balloons because of my Opal Composer software with my camera.
There we go.
And that's just a party waiting to happen. All the time.
Similar feature in, was it iOS 17 in iMessage? Oh, you can do things like that. Oh, heart emojis. Yep. Lovely. And so that's for your Opal software. Nice. Yes. Will, any thoughts on the MouthPad? Are you getting you're doing your tongue exercise and getting ready to roll here?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to, way back when I was in university, I worked for a company as a co-op student called Tetra Society of North America. And they used to basically, their whole thing was, connecting people with disabilities with engineers to help them solve unique problems. And they often had things like this that people would have to use their mouth to operate or manipulate things in the real world. A very popular thing that apparently was not commercially available, because they only made things that were not commercially available, was basically like a suction pad or suction cup that with a handle that you put in your mouth, and then you would pick up, like, this again, this 20 years ago, you pick up CDs or DVDs and put them in your player, because people that don't have have disability with their hands or whatever, it's not easy to pick up a CD, and it's a little bit of a challenge, I guess, to get a thin plastic disc in your mouth. So especially when it's lying flat. So yeah, I mean, stuff like this is you'd be amazed how many people need these devices.
And we've seen sort of mobility scooters and wheelchairs being operated by breath control, for example. So this seems
Yeah.
to be in line. But I mean, I'm surprised it's taken this long, quite frankly, because the tongue is like one of the most powerful muscles in our body for its size, and reasonably dexterous as well. I mean, not everyone can roll their tongue per se. I'm not sure if that's a required gesture, but just the basic compass points on there are scrolling around. Like, I don't know. I love it. So 3 cheers for accessibility and MouthPad for those who need it. Other things you can do with your mouth and tongue are taste meat. And here's another interesting little debut at CES was the GE Profile Smart Indoor Smoker. And apparently the things it smokes are delicious, according to people who have tried it out. So yeah, I mean, it's yet another kind of thing that we can clutter our homes with, especially as we increase density and people's homes get smaller and smaller, and we somehow have room for things like smart pizza ovens and ice cube makers and and rice cookers and instant pots and air fryers. Well, now the GE Profile Smart Indoor Smoker. Gray, I know that you're Mr. Sous Vide, and you've done all sorts of interesting cooking experimentation. What do you see an indoor smoker, a safe indoor smoker, being part of your life at some point in the future?
I've got a number of friends who don't like smoked flavors. That's something I've discovered. I tried like things like smoked cocktails and so on. And someone who you're like, here, try this. And they're like, I don't like smoked flavor. So I don't know that this is necessarily for me. I will say that a number of places where I have lived over the course of the last 10 years have had prohibitions on outdoor smokers, which, I can imagine if you've got a barbecue and you have people living above you, you've got a smoker style, could be, again, I asked for an apartment and non-smoking. So there it is. But if you are passionate about your barbecue and you live perhaps in the frozen tundra that is Canada and want to be able to smoke things indoors, this seems like an ideal thing. If you live in an area where you can't have a smoker, this seems like an ideal thing. These seem like really, really niche cases. And for $1,000, question mark. So, I mean, here's the thing. After an Indiegogo campaign amassed over $800,000 in funding. Okay.
When's are giant multinational corporations doing Indiegogo campaigns?
All the time now.
That's hilarious. It's a good way to judge, to reduce risk and gauge market sentiment, I suppose. Get people put their money where their mouth is.
I've got a foot pedal controller here from Asus. And so it's the type of thing that they didn't know if anybody would want it. And you can use it in video games to activate certain things. It's not like a pedal of like a gas pedal. It literally is 3 buttons, down, left, and right. And so when I'm playing Destiny, I can kick at the ground and basically have it activate one of the powers, which is worth $140 to me at the time, I guess. It's cool. They wouldn't have brought that to market otherwise, I don't think, because we've seen things like Mad Catz as a company. They sunk a lot of money into rock band instruments.
Oh, Mad Catz.
I remember that guy.
Now they are sad cats because there are no more cats.
Aww.
So it's one of those things where, just looking at e-commerce in general, limited run stuff or stuff where it's like, we know we've got these orders. That makes sense. I guess if you are, thank you for smoking. If you're the smoker type of a barbecue fan, this is good news. Shrug.
Well, there are 6 food-specific settings for popular smoked foods like brisket, ribs, pork butt, chicken wings, chicken breast, and salmon. We may recall a couple of years ago when Tasia had a porch pirate that stole her butt rub. But maybe she would be a candidate for an indoor smoker. But the whole idea here is that you can smoke foods inside the kitchen without setting off the fire alarm in your house or apartment. It's about the size of a mini fridge. It's got some other features too that other outdoor smokers don't normally offer, such as a smoke and hold feature, which prepares foods and then keeps them at food safe temperatures for up to 24 hours. Also uses a fraction of the wood pellets that outdoor grills use, part to an additional heating element, and a pellet capture system that extinguishes used pellets in a water tank. Well, it sounds like it's quite
nobody smoking tofu in the GE smoker. No smoked vegetables. Just
I mean, I suppose you could.
Yeah.
Check out a friend of the podcast is BBQ and Tech, where they'll probably be talking about this because they talk about all kinds of barbecue. Will, what would it take to get one of these smokers onto your countertop?
I like to smoke food. I always wanted a barbecue in my apartment. I never lived in an apartment where it wasn't allowed. So I have never owned my own barbecue. I could own one now. I have a front area, but I just never got into it. I always thought I would. I love barbecue food. I'm a huge fan of, all sorts of barbecue. You're just cheap barbecue that you make yourself and fancy barbecue that's cooked for 24 hours.
All right.
But no.
$1,000 US. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, not going to happen. If you got $1,000 to spend on me, Tristan, I have a mixer that I wouldn't mind buying.
You don't say. All right. We're going to have to leave it to Tasia to, get one of these puppies. All right. Well, if the smokeless smoker isn't as smoke free in your house as one might hope, maybe you could set up another quirky discovery from CES 2024 is a moss terrarium that doubles as an air purifier and a humidifier. So this time of the year, sometimes you get a little dry, you get your dry skin, you get your cracked blood vessels, your bleeding noses, all those sorts of things. We've got the opposite problem right now since we still have water ingress issues in our cellar, thanks to some nonsense drainage issues in our neighborhood and maybe not the best foundation in our 87-year-old home. But that's another topic altogether. So a Korean company has showcased a device called Moss Air, which uses real moss to purify air. And it doubles as a mesmerizing miniature terrarium on your desktop. It consists of an LED lit compartment under a removable transparent cover, and you can easily install or replace the Moss panel. There's an exhaust port, a magnetic ball to toggle terrarium mode, which fogs up the moss over 60-second periods after 3 hours. It's got battery powered battery, so you can you don't have to have it plugged in, and it's got a 400 ml tank. The kind of thing that you might see on people's desks in startups or home environments. I know for when we've been over, I don't know if it was partly a COVID thing. We had we've been accumulating more and more plants in our house, which I'm really digging, and was especially great at the height of the pandemic when we were indoors so much, and have plants help to clean the air for you and pump out some oxygen, consume some of that CO2, pump out some oxygen. Well, this is taking this to the next level. Will, you much of a plant guy? And could you see this being this tech mossy plant kind of angle working for you?
I am not.
You have cats, so no plants for you. Oh, and there's one right there. Yeah.
Now she wants to run away.
We can't
run away. I haven't seen you all day.
When our cat Simon was still alive, we had to make sure to keep our plants well out of his reach because he liked to chew them, and they're not necessarily that great. How about you, Gray? You have a cat. Are you in the plant world? And either way, do you see a moss terrarium in your future?
So I did have one spider plant thing. That's the carcass of it is up there. I murdered it over the holidays. I completely forgot to water it. I've had it for 2 years though, so it had a good run. And I said a little prayer for it as it passed. It's interesting. Like I've seen these style of plant-based air purifiers, and I was curious to see the cost of this when you first posted the link, because a lot of the ones that I've seen online have been around $500 to $600, and they're massive. They're like,
hey, but at least you can harvest moss for free off your roof.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like for $80, interesting. It's. There's a lot to be said for naturally purified air, and so if this does what it says it's going to do, that's pretty cool, especially for the price. I would love to have one of these in the bedroom, just because it's like when you're sleeping, beautiful fresh air is hard to beat. I've got the IKEA Fornuftig, I think it is, purifier. I've actually got one here for the lab where I do my engraving, because I've got the smoke purifier. I can also vent outside when I'm doing things like cutting acrylic, which I can do now. More about that later. But like looking at this, this is pretty cool stuff. I like it. You know, this also looks like a great way to, again, if you've got pets, it's self-contained, so you can kind of put it up on a shelf. And Stormy does like to eat and chew on things he's not supposed to do. It's just like, dude, it's not food. It doesn't look like food. It doesn't smell like food. Why is it going in your? So, you know what I love is because they have not just the Moss Air, they've also got panels and things like that, right?
Which are available now, yeah.
Yeah,
And those are less techy.
Yeah,
They're
it's just
more
Moss.
passive, yeah.
You know, not Carrie Ann, but just Moss.
Mm.
So you know, would I get one of these? Yeah, absolutely. I think they're quite neat. Air purification is a cool science. I like the idea of this. It feels better to me than, you know, a buzzing, weird mechanical humidifier. So I'd say, yeah, thumbs up for me.
And now we've some revelations here about this whole magnetic ball thing. It's an interesting interface where you just there's basically, it looks like a large ball bearing that rests on top of the device, some quasi-cylindrical type device, and you move the ball from one little pocket to another to switch modes between humidifier and terrarium mode. But I don't know about you, but I mean, that's how long till that ball goes missing, especially if you have cats.
Bye.
Or a Grogu.
Right.
See, this is the Model S. $80 for the air purifier and $400 for a spare pair of balls.
Yeah, they've got you in a subscription plan.
That came out wrong.
Yeah.
Get your monthly ball replacement.
Yeah.
All right. So in other semi-organic type things, touring LG's high-tech camping trailer at CES 2024 was a recent article from Engadget. And we've talked about camping with some tech to, you know, make things a little more tolerable for us tech addicts. Well, apparently LG has put together a concept trailer called the Bon Voyage. So to be clear, this is not something that they are selling yet, but at present, it seems to be a showcase for a lot of their own quirky technology, such as the Duke Box, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. They've got an LG Gram, a laptop with 2 displays, but then all sorts of other bits and pieces, you know, crammed into this little trailer thing, such as their capsule coffee machine, which is known as the Duwubo. Has a fridge, a pull-out trailer.
That's a name.
Yeah. It's a styler clothes refresher device to jostle and steam your clothes. And they're considering including solar to power it all. There's a portable karaoke set with 2 wireless mics and speaker, a giant OLED screen above another pull-out surface, and a cocktail accoutrements on either side. Gray, as our resident camping correspondent, thoughts? Cocktails in the woods.
Oh, good God. It's just like, I don't know, man. You know, like, I love my glamping, right? Like, I've got a 12-foot diameter portable living room that I take with me. It's got, I've got a clothing rack. I've got mirrors and lights and solar and sound and all that sort of stuff. And even I'm looking at this going, what kind of dork buys something like this? You need an OLED TV? Come on. There's a sunset right there.
Well, you know, if you bring your Starlink RV with you, you know, RV edition, then you could, you know, stream your Netflix or your Prime Video.
Do they have some sort of hydraulic lift where you can actually give yourself a wedgie? This is the worst thing ever. So here's the thing: these teardrop trailers are expensive to begin with, right? They start at, are you kidding me? And they go all the way to absolutely friggin' not, as far as price range goes, and like for good reason. You know, they're difficult to make and engineer in a way where they last, where they're comfortable. You know what this feels like? Somebody on the LG design team was like, did a bunch of acid and was like, I got this idea. let's take it all and put it in one machine. And everyone was like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't mess with him. He seems to be on a bit of a mission.
How about we got overstock on all these other gadgets that won't sell, so we got to throw them in, this little camper thing for the hipsters.
Does anybody have a Duobo left? We've got all the Duobos left. Okay, let's just pack them into these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your clothes steamers, your cocktail sets.
Like where are you going camping? Fifth Avenue? It's just I don't know. It's
how many Duobos do you want? 500 or 1,000?
You can sip your LG coffee while singing karaoke on your wireless mics.
Cocktails on both sides because it's too long to walk around to the other side of the teardrop tree. Come on, it's just.
Will, is this the kind of thing that's going to get you and your main squeeze into the woods?
Hell no.
I don't want to be a naysayer, but just like nay. I'm saying it.
Nay. Okay. Well, just one last thing. Will and I talked about one of LG's displays last week. CES is traditionally about TV pissing matches, size-wise, features-wise, technology-wise, and so on. And LG introduced a new transparent OLED TV. Well, there's a few variations on a theme at CES, including the Duke box, as we alluded to a little earlier, which has the transparency, but also works as a speaker, and you can make it even show things like, tubes if you want to pretend you've got a tube amplifier or something, but apparently it has vacuum tube amplifiers built in, so there you go.
Everything old is new again.
Yeah, there's the C-Seed N1 TV, which is quite it folds up, so we don't just have foldable phones and foldable screens on laptops. We've got full-on foldable TVs now, so if you don't want a big black slab up to 137 inches dominating your living space, and you're not availing yourself of LG's transparent OLED or a Samsung frame, well, you could have a TV that folds itself up, the C-Seed N1. And then we've got Samsung Flex Note extendable display as well. Like Samsung's showing off its flexible chops, as we've seen with the Galaxy Flip and the Galaxy Fold devices. This is going to unfold into an 11-inch display, or all the way up to 13.8 inches, or even 17.3 inches, depending on your configurations. So that's the kind of thing that you could pair with maybe a smartphone or a laptop. Or put it in a car. Why not? So if you had to choose one of these, well, of course, and then the OLED signature LG Signature OLED T is the one that Will and I talked about last week. So gray, that's basically just an OLED that's transparent, and then you can have a black film that goes up behind it to make it look like a normal TV. Of course, it's not going to be quite as performant as regular OLEDs, but on the bright side, you get to make it look like an aquarium or something when you're not using it. So Will, choose one. You gotta have one in your house. What's it gonna be?
Yeah, I like the foldable TVs, if I'm being honest. The other thing is, hasn't these transparent screens been around for a while? I mean, like, I was in a grocery store, like in the States last year, and they had like drink displays that had screens over top of them. So you could see through them, and then they would show something on it. So
yeah, so there's a few different things.
Brand new, or is this a home version?
It was the first. The LG is like the first commercially available OLED, transparent OLED. Like we've seen others, because regular LCDs. I mean, unless you've got a backlight behind them, they are transparent. You remove you take apart your laptop screen. I mean, you could have something going on there, but it would just be hard to see unless you hold it up against a white or a white surface background or light behind it or something like that. So these things exist. It's just we've never seen this in a like a full size OLED TV before. So, but the foldable is pretty cool, especially if you wanted something 137 inches and then have it fold up to be a lot less discreet, and it doesn't. it doesn't look terribly out of place with your pillars and marble statues. Apparently.
Yeah.
How about you, Gray? What's speaking to you out of all these wild and wacky kind of displays?
Honestly, like the foldable one makes the most sense, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
transparent display, there's still a thing there on the wall. You can almost see like that. If you really wanted to go for sauce on this one, you'd have the pillar kind of come up out of the ground, and then maybe "Thus spake there Zarathustra" as it unfolds, right? Get the timpani in there, and perfect. Like that's it. Get your black slab, great. Throw a bone in the air, watch a movie, awesome. The transparent stuff, yeah, cool, great. But I've still got a thing on my wall, so yeah. I don't know.
It's the worst TV, and it's not as good.
Call me crazy. I've got this Tickle 75-inch TCL thing that I've had for a couple of years. I thoroughly emasculated it by removing it from access to the internet and blocked it on all the ports so that our friends in the government can't see what I'm watching, because God knows to be like, there's a lot of Doctor Who going on here.
No, it's Bill Gates and Oprah that you got to worry about.
They would still be like, there's a lot of Doctor Who. We should be concerned.
Yeah.
You should.
We know a lot of these discount TV makers, like Roku being one of them. They're basically capturing analytics from your televisions and subsidizing the price of TVs by a whole other kind of business model. So I don't blame you for shutting it off.
I feel like turning it back on just so they can be like, the data we're getting here is not a whole lot of use. Like anything that's Doctor Who or Star Trek, sure, but outside of that, we don't know what to do with this person. But like that 75-inch TV was $1,300.
Yeah,
it's a 4K display that does 120 hertz for video gaming. It's phenomenal. Like the black levels are better than okay. So I'm just like, you want like 7, 8, 10, 15, 30 grand for me or something? I'm not buying a Corolla's worth of TV.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sorry. I've
compression on streaming nowadays too.
It's happened. It's finally happened. I've crossed over into the singularity of this isn't worth it anymore.
Good enough. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole LG's Duke box thing. So it's got a transparent screen. It does have it's a 300 watt speaker with vacuum tube amplifiers, but the OLED, it has an OLED screen, but it's
good. What's with the?
You're not really watching TV with it. It's like so you can.
It's warm.
It's for like Spotify. And
what's with the name?
Like I don't know, Duke box.
Like is John Wayne associated with it somehow?
Because it's a little, the Duke, Pilgrim. So it's a little. It doesn't even say like how large the screen is, but it's a strange little thing. And we saw, I guess, from Samsung. We didn't talk about it, but Samsung has in their frame line they introduced a frame speaker. So, except again, you have to put a physical picture in it so you can have your art. Just kind of like IKEA's been doing, making tech that doesn't look like tech.
Yeah. They need to do a Harrison Ford themed frame TV, right? It wasn't me. It was the One-Armed Man. Perfect. There it is for the Fugitive 30th anniversary. Boom, done.
You can install them in your Cessna.
Yeah.
That's going to crash and burn. Moving right along.
Speaking of watching things, there's been talk for the last several weeks of YouTube and its efforts to crack down on those who are using ad blockers. There's been a bit of cat and mouse game because a lot of folks are just getting sick and tired of ads on YouTube as YouTube kind of slowly cranks up the ad load with more and more things like unskippable 30-second ads,
the
mid-roll ads, and whatnot. Sorry, what was that?
The enshittification.
Yes, exactly. As per Cory Doctorow. So, and now what is happening is people are finding even when they're using ad blockers, and myself being one of them on a couple of devices, that, you're not seeing ads, but you just have to still wait like 10, 15 seconds before the thing starts. And apparently that's all part of it. So there's a lot of talk whether this is a real thing or not. Google claimed it was a technical glitch, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, I just wanted to point out this story as a bit of a prelude to my pick of the week, but also, Will, you watch a lot of YouTube. Have you done anything with ad blockers on any of your devices, or do you just put up with the inpoopification of YouTube with the ever-increasing ad load?
Impoopification.
We're trying to keep it PG. So you got all ads all the time.
All ads all the time.
All right. How about you, Gray?
I've been a subscriber to YouTube Premium for quite some time, and we'll talk about it when we get to your pick of the week.
All right. But first, a little bit of entertainment news. This just came across my desk today. Netflix feature film. We have a multi-picture deal with. Why is his name escaping me at the moment? The person that's on
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. Yes. Oh boy, gotta love the semantic dementia kicking in. So we have a trailer for a new Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. It looks kind of sci-fi, and it's simply called Spaceman, or Spaceman, if you prefer. Dr. Spaceman was a character on 30 Rock, which we're currently rewatching, by the way. And if you that's probably going to be my pick of the week again in the future, because amazing. So Spaceman, and basically it's about a lonely astronaut on a solo mission who happens to befriend an alien spider, somehow gets on board, and through interactions with said alien spider, gets marital advice, because apparently the spaceman is his relationship is falling apart. And it's based on it's based on a novel in which a Czech astrophysicist named Jakub Prochaska accepts a solo mission to collect samples from a strange dust cloud. Anyhow, but if you have a look at the trailer, I'm getting quasi Solaris vibes from it. It's kind of looks slow paced, kind of existential. I'm not Adam Sandler's really hit and miss. I mean, he does a lot of dumb comedies, and every once in a while, like a great movie. Well, I mean, sometimes they're polarizing, such as like Punch Drunk Love was the one that really like stood out for me earlier on in his career as a non-comedic role. I thought he was quite good in that. And then more recently, Uncut Gems, also on Netflix, which is just an anxiety ride of your life there. But this, I don't know if I've ever seen Adam Sandler in anything kind of remotely sci-fi. Little Nicky being
Pixels?
the exception.
Oh, Little Nicky was horrible.
Pixels?
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Pixels.
Yeah. I never,
That was also
I never
bad.
did see Pixels.
Didn't miss it. Didn't miss much.
Yeah. So, Gray, what are you thinking here when you see Adam Sandler
This looks
in
glorious.
a spacesuit? Yeah.
This looks glorious. It reminds me of Sam Rockwell and Moon. I am
I was
for
gonna
it.
say that.
The trailer. It's funny because I saw the trailer on YouTube this afternoon with no ads, and I was just like, "Yep." I actually put a note in my calendar for March 1st to watch this movie.
And I've just realized that I've probably triggered a content match by letting the trailer play pretty much all the way through as we were chatting. I've been trying to get better and putting, skipping through or putting up images and whatnot.
You got to flip the screen back.
Yeah. Please go on. So you've got it scheduled for you've got a thing in your calendar for when it comes out.
Yeah, for March 1st. I'm sitting down and going to watch the movie that day. I want to go in, no reviews, no nothing. I'm going to give Adam Sandler another chance here because again, I enjoyed Uncut Gems. I've been hurt many times, but you know what? He's worth it.
How many grown-ups movies have there been? But Jack and Jill.
Yeah.
Will, how about you?
All we wanted was Little Nicky too. So.
So I, like you, have not been a big fan of Adam Sandler comedies.
Wedding Singer? Love Wedding Singer.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I did not like that. Anyways, So like Gray, I liked Moon, and this gave me a lot of Moon vibes.
Yep.
Sam Rockwell. Probably my favorite, if I'm gonna pull out an Adam Sandler movie, I liked 50 First Dates.
Yep,
I think that's the name of it. And probably my favorite movie is Funny People, which is actually not a funny movie. It's a very interesting movie about the nature of comedians and what it takes to be funny, but it's not actually very funny. So I recommend that movie. In this, check. I just always I'm always looking for the evil thing behind the door, and I just afraid that Spider's going to eat his face or something. So we'll see.
I just wonder if the spider is voiced by Kevin Spacey, like the robot assistant in Moon. Yeah, now he's on the comeback, right?
Is he?
Charges dropped or case thrown out. Anyhow,
does that matter?
We have a process. I'm sure.
No, I agree, but the court of public opinion has already found him guilty. So we'll see.
Apparently, there was some. He was on something recently, and he kind of did a allusion, a callback to House of Cards, his character from House of Cards, and maybe we'll pull it up next time around because we want to give him lots of airtime. Okay, moving along to our picks of the week, starting with William.
Yeah, so I have to give a big shout out to one of my close Looper friends who sent me a copy of his latest Battle Cat Volume 2. So DJ Mike, and he is a Renaissance man. He is just an amazing scratcher from Italy, scratch DJ. He's also a producer. He's done some great loops, but he also does battle records, presses vinyl. If you want to make money, don't go into doing this. You do this because you love it. And he obviously loves it. And the other reason I really like him is he loves cats. So, often cat themed records and things like that. So, if you at all are interested in what a battle record is, or if you're a scratch DJ listening to this, go pick yourself up a copy of this. It's really well produced, and I love it.
Well, that was going to be my next question for you, Will. For our mums, some of whom may not be listening, and our dads, what is a battle record?
So a battle record.
Also, maybe also for certain co-hosts.
Yeah. So a battle record often has sounds, or they're sometimes called sentences because they're groups of sounds put together that can be used for scratching. So it's not necessarily something you would listen to casually. It's just like a bunch of samples put together. Some cases they actually have, bits and pieces of drums, or they might actually have a whole beat, but it might be just in 4 bars or 8 bars. It might be in a way that you can manipulate it. So there's not a lot of variation in the actual beat. The sounds can be done a number of ways. They can be just patterns, or they can be just a jumble of sounds. So it's for people who are scratch DJs or producers to get samples and to scratch and make music with. So it's not something you just throw on, the latest Taylor Swift vinyl record and listen to your heart's content. Shout out to TC.
No one's listening to those records.
Yeah.
they're just putting them on the shelf.
Yeah, pretty much. Putting them in frame and putting them on the wall or something. So these are things that DJs will still use. Scratching is still best done on vinyl. I have digital devices. I like scratching digitally, but I can't sit here and say that digital is better in terms of sound and in terms of technique and manipulation of the record. It's still just more one for one when you use an actual piece of vinyl and a needle. I still love digital scratching. I have lots of devices that do digital scratching. I'm not against it. There's very much a divide in the community sometimes. I am one of those people who's white. I'm shades of gray, as you guys know. I'm DC and Marvel. I don't choose one.
No, he's shades of gray.
He's shades of gray, yeah. So yeah, I love digital scratching, but there's something special about scratching on vinyl, and I'm not just one of those beardos who's like, oh, vinyl.
I too enjoy scratching digitally. So, Battle Cat. I take it that's an adaptation of Battle Cat from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Is that what we're?
I don't know.
It's green.
Yeah,
He's got the helmet
and the scarf.
Let your imagination.
Oh right. He's not.
You have the power.
It's not.
Yeah.
We got to give it another 60 years or something, and then we'll.
You want to get sued?
It's based on Steamboat Willie. That's right.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's see. Gray, your pick of the week is a little bit old school.
Yeah, doing the Great Doctor Who rewatch, getting ready for season or for the 15th Doctor. So this is the 2006 season, the second year of David Tennant. So pardon me, the second year of Doctor Who since the 2005 reboot, the second year of the first year of David Tennant, and it leads to the departure of a beloved character, as is wont to happen in Doctor Who. Just watched the Christmas special again for that year with Catherine Tate, the Runaway Bride, in which her character Donna Noble is sucked into the TARDIS because of Huon particles, because she is apparently going to be a meal for the Empress of the Rachnos. And we see the first vestiges of the Time Lord Triumphant as the 10th Doctor stands by as he drowns all of her progeny, which were actually at the center of the Earth when it first formed. So anyway, Donna Noble has declined the invitation to join the Doctor as a companion because she went until the 4th season of that Doctor. But I'm on to season 2007, season 3 of the reinitiation of the series. And gosh darn it, that 2006 season was good. Some good stuff in there, including Love and Monsters, which most people don't like because it has Moaning Myrtle being turned into a living, breathing porcelain tile, which is just great in sort of that weird Harry Potter, Doctor Who canon crossover thing.
So in the seasons 1, 2, and 3 of that era of Doctor Who, we had the return of the Cybermen, we had the return of the Daleks. At what season did the Ood appear in there?
That was this season. So that was the Satan Pit.
Right.
Right.
That was a creepy one.
Yeah, it was. Right. So and because I mean at that point we saw the Ood as evil. Despite the fact that they're just morally challenging as your quote unquote basic slave race, as it was referred to in the episode. It was like, problem what? But apparently they were very happy about it, and I don't think anybody was. So it was a challenging episode to watch, a challenging pair of episodes to watch, because you lose the TARDIS down into. Yeah, well, not even that. Like their handler referred to them as cattle, and it's like, I don't like this. We see the expansion of who the Ood are later, which I think really condemns the character in that episode, and more about how humanity was dealing with them. But what else do we have in there? In addition to that episode, what was the one that I really liked? The Girl in the Fireplace, where the Doctor encounters Louis XV's a mistress, Madame de Pompadour. And basically watches this young girl grow up through time portals on this ship because she's important to the clockwork robots on that ship. And it's a beautifully costumed episode. It's a beautifully written episode. It's tragic. There's so much loss for the Doctor in this season that it's not hard to see. There's one thing that they're very good at doing with David Tennant, and that's ripping his goddamn heart out. And they continue to do so in this season, and it's just the beginning.
All right. Well, someday we'll go back and rewatch those ones, but we lost the plot at some point when our PVR wasn't picking stuff up, and the scheduling in Canada was all over the place, probably about 10 years ago. So we still have to do some catch up before we can go and do a rewatch. But
it's all about Amazon Prime. So
good point.
Until you get to the season where it is now on Disney Plus.
All right, my for a change, for me, my picks of the week are often movies or TV shows, but this year, Santa finally broke down and blessed our household with YouTube Premium.
Welcome.
And oh my, I know you've been preaching its virtues for years now, Gray, as is friend of the show, Tim. But holy Lord, game changer. We can watch so much more now because we're not having to sit through ads or like remember to skip them if we're able to skip them. It's so peaceful. Yeah. I don't know why I waited so long. Now, to be fair, it's not cheap, especially if you're on a family plan, because we've got, Stephanie and I have separate accounts. We want to maintain our separate histories and the like. But it gets applied to like all the related accounts and whoever you invite in your quote unquote family. So she gets to enjoy that as well. But I think it's like what, $12.99 Canadian for single and $17.99 Canadian for the
it's more
family
than
plan.
that.
Thereabouts. Sorry.
It's more than
Is
that.
it more? Or maybe
So
I'm quoting the US prices.
40.
Don't tell Santa. Don't tell Santa.
It is worth it, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
In the past,
But compared to other streaming services, though, it's pretty dear. Like that's the thing. Is like,
I watch it more than
that's
all
why we
the
waited
streaming
so
services
long.
put together.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The dollar for dollar. So I want you to do something over the next little while.
Mm-hmm.
Go up to your YouTube profile and click on it and click your premium benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And you will see the number of hours that you have watched.
Mm-hmm.
So since I subscribed about a year ago, I've watched 410 hours of ad-free YouTube content. It is less than $1 an hour to watch ad-free YouTube. It is.
I'm not sure if that's good to know. Like, how many hours have we spent doing business networking?
Well, so for me, this is all like, most of what I watch on YouTube
Curing
is educational
cancer.
content. Like how to do woodworking, how to do
Helping
laser
the needy.
engraving, how to do 3D printing. So
If
for
only
me,
we
this
could
is
record all of that. Yeah.
So for me, this is pretty much, it's either like entertainment, it's the late night shows where I catch up on it, I don't have to stay up late at night to watch it, or it is and especially if you're doing educational videos, a 30-second unskippable ad, for someone with ADHD, it's murder. This is just like get in, get out. And the number of times I've clicked into a video and went, that's not what I want, back out. When I'm not logged in, which happens once in a while, I'm on a new device, nightmare. Your pick brings me so much happiness. I'm so happy for you.
So what you're saying is that if you have ADHD, it's probably better to not have premium because it trains you to wait and not have that instant gratification.
It trains you to just not engage with the platform at all and then not learn things.
The crazy thing is like the ads, like you're watching a 5-minute video and you've sometimes like they've got ads jammed like around there in there. It's like, it's crazy making. So yes, thank you. Santa finally clued in. And but actually what also happened is we've canceled our Apple One subscription.
Interesting.
Because mostly we were using Apple TV Plus. I already had, it's complicated, but I already had the 2 terabyte, blah, 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 iCloud on a separate thing. And it's complicated. And we weren't really using Apple Fitness Plus, Apple News Plus. Yeah. But not enough to necessarily justify it. Apple Music Plus, sure, that's a nice to have. We've had hundreds and hundreds of CDs we've ripped, and I already also pay for Apple iTunes Match still too. So there's some general cleanup we were having to do, but so I canceled it. And we've got a month left. Like yesterday, I just got billed again. I was looking, it's pushing $40 a month now, and it's like, it's not. We're not getting the value out of currently. Maybe sometime in the future we'll reactivate it again. But for me, Apple TV Plus is where the action has been.
I got 2 spots left. You want to be family?
I'm good, thanks. So because that's the kind of thing that jacks the prices up. So anyway, that's a whole other discussion.
Be part of the problem. Come on.
Yeah. So anyhow, YouTube Premium, thumbs up. Will, resistance is futile. Do your wife a solid. Her birthday's coming up.
I'm cheap. It took me a long time just to do like DoorDash and stuff like that, because I'm like, I can just skip
DoorDash. This is way more worth it.
Uber Eats is a better deal. You get the 40% off coupons plus the buy one get one.
Oh yeah,
that's the only way to fly.
I'm glad you're happy.
Okay,
I don't want to do it.
But trust me, you can try a month. You can do like a free month. I think just try the free month. It will change your life.
Well, Elijah, the family is okay.
That would
right.
be good. My wife would appreciate it. I don't care, but my wife would like it.
Hey, Gadget.
Let's do our projects this week. Will, you don't have any beats for us. We're beat free this week, but I'm sure there'll be something next week. Gray, we've got all right, Gray, we've got a Facebook page for your.
Yes.
Well, we never got. Is your website live? Because we still haven't seen it. We only saw the password protected page.
It is launching next week. So the cool thing here, I guess you can't see it unless it's there. The P2 55 watt CO2 engraver. If you're watching the video version right now, you'll see I'm opening the lid to this thing. This is the CO2 engraver from Xtool. The first things off the line today were some clear.
Oh, sorry, this is your pick. My apologies, I got mixed up.
No, this is our project.
Oh, right. So yeah, because I thought the Xtool was going to be your pick. I got confused. Yeah.
They go hand in hand. Wub is powered by laser engraving and art and all that sort of good stuff. So I've got some clear acrylic keychains for you guys. And we might have some to give away for listeners of the podcast at some point.
Wonderful.
We've got tons of art that's coming out, which is really cool. And I'm doing a project for Will this week, which is his Christmas gift.
Your message.
Yes. So the Facebook page is live. We're starting to put projects up there. We're also getting some social commerce going as well. So you're going to be able to purchase things on the Facebook page as well as through TikTok. We've got some YouTube content coming. So there's lots of stuff that's on the way. This is basically like we've been kind of like building the hopper for a while. I've had a really successful holiday season. Did a bunch of luggage tag portraits for people. Did some photo boxes. Did some of the glow in the dark portraits that we did there. So, and at the top there, you can see a beautiful watercolor with some ink quotes that are also stenciled onto them. So lots of really, really cool things coming. And folks want to take a look. It's at facebook.com/web.today.
And the link will also be in the show notes. Good stuff. We're looking forward to the launch of the website as well with bated breath. My pick this week is latest episode of AI Name This Show with our co-host Tasia, in which we talk about the AI announcements at CES 2024, including some which make us say, why though? Just like with non-AI stuff at CES, we're kind of quirky and wacky, and some like the happy fork. Will and I were talking about that from a few years ago, and we revisited that just ever so slightly last week. The fork that could tell you how much you were eating and didn't really work properly. So yeah, there was a number of AI related announcements at CES, and some of them were just why though? So you can find that at AINamedThisShow.com. And if you want to find out more about us here at Momentous, you can visit us at www.momentous.tv. We did it, gents. Greg, good to have you back.
Good to be here.
And we hope to have Tasia back someday soon. Tasia, we miss you. We know you're busy. But until then, we hope your week is truly momentous.